my next guest, we have somebody very special. Over the last 2 years, he has become the hero of America in a culinary way. He's the creator and producer of Everybody Loves Raymond, as well as the creator, producer, and host of the hit Netflix series, Somebody Feed Phil. Ladies and gentlemen, Phil Rosenthal.
Yes.
Wow. Look at that, a set and everything like the Tonight Show. Look, a mug with my face on it.
Well,
you've spared no expense.
I thought it was important that you understand how big of a fan we actually are.
Well, that's very sweet. Thank you.
Hence the mug.
Nice. Hello, everybody. The evolve, this means you've evolved, if you're here. You've been here, this is your first time in this hotel, right?
This is our first time in this hotel. Now, we were across the street at the Hard Rock, which has a slightly different feel.
Right.
It's,
you have John Cougar Mellencamp as your guest over there.
that'd be a good fit.
Yeah.
That would be a good fit. They have a pool party.
Yeah.
They have DJs that are, they have people throwing up in the street in front as people are checking in.
Really? Yeah. That's a little like New Orleans on Bourbon Street, if you've ever been there. Yeah. The romance of throwing up on the street.
When there's a defibrillator in every room, be a little worried.
Oh, that's right.
Now, Phil, you may have the best job in the world. So let me get this straight. Your job is essentially to fly to different cities all over the world.
Yes.
Try the food.
Yes.
And connect with the people over that food.
That's right. I got this job, we first did it on PBS. It was called I'll Have What Phil's Having. And when I got this gig, I called my brother to tell him PBS is going to let me do this show where I go around the world and eat. And he said, really? What are we going to call the show? The Lucky Bastard? And I said, why don't you quit your job? He was a producer. He produced a lot of online videos at Facebook for them and for their clients. Quit your job, and we'll call our production company Lucky Bastards. And if you stay to the end of the show, you'll see our little logo. It's a little cartoon of the world with two stick figures on it waving a flag that says Lucky Bastards.
And it is funny how the show, it's almost a family affair. And I love how you routinely break down the third wall and talk to your brother.
That's right.
Kind of off camera. I think that is just such a personable touch.
I think, you know, coming from where I come from with the Raymond Show and the whole family thing, and I understand that that's relatable to people. And I'm not an expert. You know how I sold the show, by the way, to PBS originally and then Netflix? I sold it with one line. I said, I'm exactly like Anthony Bourdain if he was afraid of everything. And so I'm just a guy, I'm a tourist. I'm proudly a tourist. You know, I can't even cook. People say to me, you can't cook. What right do you have to have a food show? I said, listen, I meet great chefs around the world. They can't write a sitcom. So we all contribute in our way, right? I contribute by eating.
Now, so you travel all over the world.
Yes.
I know that you love to always tour the markets.
I do.
And sometimes you're in parts of the world that it's easy to get sick in markets. Have you ever had a scenario where you've tried something and the crew has tried something and next thing you know, everybody's down for 3 days?
The crew did. They went down for a few days in Paris, believe it or not, but not from the food. It was they were staying at a different hotel than me, and there was something in the hotel that made everyone sick, almost like a Legionnaire's disease or something. And I didn't get sick, and I've never gotten sick. We've been to 18 locations around the world. I've never gotten sick. Came home from all this travel to LA. I had a salad that had a sprout on it that wasn't washed, I guess, and then you didn't see me for 3 days. Yeah.
This is a question I'm sure you get all the time. So I'm going to ask the opposite.
Okay.
What was the least favorite thing that you've eaten? I'm imagining somebody doing 7 minutes on how great this food that you're about to try is, and it hits your mouth and...
Not to burst your bubble, but I get asked that a lot too. Yeah. But I have one ready. I was in Hong Kong and we were at a hot pot restaurant. You know what that is, where they big bubbling hot pot and they throw a lot of stuff in. And on the table was a plate of what looked like hard-boiled eggs that had been cut in half. But they were very unusual looking. They're called 1,000-year-old eggs, okay, in Hong Kong. They're preserved, right? So after they've been preserved and presented, the whites are a kind of brownish orange, and the yolks are a bluish green. And a couple of the people at the table, did anyone see this episode, the Hong Kong thing? I advise, if you want to laugh, like my brother did. Yes, that's what I did.
My grandson did.
That's what I did. Two of the people said, "Oh, we grew up with these. They're fine." Another girl I was with said, "I'm not touching that." And I said, "If you taste it, I'll taste it." So she very tentatively, she puts it up to her mouth, and I go, "Oh, come on." And I take the whole half an egg, pop it in my mouth, because I'm hilarious. I'm telling you, the first thing I heard after I kind of like short-circuited was my brother's laugh behind the camera. He's a producer on the show. He says, I turned every shade of that egg. The first thing I tasted was really, really rotten egg. And that was then supplanted by this overpowering wave of ammonia. It was, I think the bravest thing I've ever done was to swallow that egg and not throw up and die. Yeah. So that was the worst. That was the worst. But I've eaten strange things, not that I'm looking for this, but I've eaten a couple of bugs. You know, this in certain cuisines in the world. They say that cricket protein is going to save the planet. Did you know that?
I've heard
that's
this.
That's in many countries where food is scarce, they eat crickets. It's part of the diet anyway, but the protein in crickets is, more than meat.
Yes, I've also heard that the geckos, or a lizard of some type, is supposed to be the next chicken.
Yeah, I don't want to eat that either. Yeah. I really don't. I mean, I'm kind of old-fashioned.
Yeah.
I really don't look, but there was this place where in Tokyo, I got a beautiful, the salad came out, and it was gorgeous, and there were two ants, like black ants that you would see at a picnic on the plate. One was up a little decorative tree, and the other one was perched next to it as if it was going to go up next. And the first thing you think when you get this plate is, oh, the restaurant should call the exterminator. They have a problem. And the lady next to me said, those are delicious. And I said, ha, 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 very funny. They're plastic, right? No, you eat them. Maybe you eat them. And the chef leans over the thing. He says it was like a kaiseki bar, like a sushi bar. And he leans over. He goes, you will like these ants. They taste like lemon. I said, oh, they taste like lemon. In that case, could I have some lemon? and he said, you try them. And she picked one up and popped it right in her mouth. She goes, fantastic. And so now maybe you get a little brave because the camera's on or something, or you think you're not in real life, nothing can hurt you. And I picked up the ant. I really didn't want to. And I took all the courage I could muster to bite down on this thing and made a little crunch. It's disgusting, right? But damn, if it wasn't as if someone put a little drop of lemon on my tongue. So now the question is, what do you base these in lemon? Is that why they taste like? No, these particular ants, not every ant, but these specific ants from this jungle in this part of northern Japan, they taste like lemon. So So it's not like I go around looking for bugs to eat now, but that was interesting. So the whole point of my show is to get you to go out of your comfort zone a little bit. You don't have to eat an ant, but for many of us, just getting off the couch is getting out of our comfort zone. All I'm trying to do with the show is get you to travel. There's no more mind-expanding thing we can do in life than travel. Look, I came all the way to San Diego today.
And we tried to make it like LA for you.
Thank you. I feel very comfortable. But it's the first time I went, I was in my early 20s, and the top of my head came off the first time I went to Europe. It was fantastic. But I urge everyone to do it. It for business. You get new ideas, you get inspiration, even if for nothing else.
Yeah.
Right?
And you get to meet new and exciting people.
Yes. And all of us, if we're nice at all, I mean just a little polite, you'll be a great ambassador, a much needed ambassador to the rest of the world. And you make the world better just by going, just by traveling, just by being semi-nice, right? And just, have a meal in a restaurant, or see the museum, or walk outside and smile at somebody, say hello. That makes the world better. And then selfishly, your life is much better.
Now, I feel like you're an ambassador for nice in Hollywood.
Thanks.
So in a world that is renowned for not being nice, you're such a gem. Everybody absolutely loves you. And I'm fascinated. We talked a little bit about this on our walk.
Yes.
I'm fascinated by your stardom. So it's a little bit like Jeff Lynne, right? Nobody knows who Jeff Lynne. A few people in this room know who Jeff Lynne is. He's the Electric Light Orchestra guy. But every single major rock star on the planet knows who he is because he produced Tom Petty. He redid the Beatles anthology.
Right.
He's an absolute icon. And I feel like, the stardom that has come with the new show, the people being able to recognize you on the street is relatively new. Whereas he can walk into any room in Hollywood, you walk into any room, and people know exactly who you are. You're the creator, the producer of one of the most iconic shows in the world. But
it gets me in the door. It doesn't keep me in the room. In other words, you would think after having some success on that TV show that I could then do whatever I wanted to do, and I couldn't. I tried to sell many shows after that. The business had changed in the 9 years that we did Raymond, and by the time I came out, that type of show, a kind of clean family show, it wouldn't come along again until Modern Family, which was years later. And even that has a certain edge to it. There's a certain, kind of, adult humor in that. And I was offered stuff that I did not want to be part of.
yeah.
I was offered things I wouldn't even want to watch, let alone make. And so I struggled for years. It took 10 years to get the Food and Travel show. They didn't just hand it to me saying, oh, yes, we're going to pay you to go eat. No. I had to prove myself by making little samples of things and showing them clips and, really going out there and working hard to try to get the dream. And people ask me, was it worth it? Well, look, yes, it's worth it.
Now, would you just take your brother out and a camera and say, let's do 5 minutes on what this could be?
American Express asked me to go do it. They had seen a documentary I made that I was in. We did a thing. I don't know if you've seen it. It's on Netflix now. If you want to see it, it turned out very well because things went very badly for me. So it turned out funny. It's called Exporting Raymond. The Russians had asked me to come to Russia and turn my sitcom into Everybody Loves Kostya. And I said I would come on one condition, if I could film the whole process. And so I did. And once I got there, I realized that even though they had invited me, they didn't want to listen to me at all. And it was my frustration in trying to bridge this gap. It's by the way, very relevant. The Russians are back in the news right now. I don't know if you've noticed, but it's amazing to see the disparity between the two cultures. But Amex had seen that movie and saw me in it and said, we like the idea of you going places. And I said, so does my wife. And so they said, would you like to go somewhere? And I said, of course, I have this idea, I have this fantasy show idea. What if I got you to travel by showing you the best places in the world to eat? And they gave me this opportunity. I went with a chef to London, and we'd spend a week in London. And they had no intention of making this a show. They just used it, they cut it up and used it for card member experiences to advertise their card. And that was fine, but I saw potential here. And so I took some of the clips and started showing it around town. And that's when PBS offered me 6 episodes. And then Netflix came in and said, we want to do this, for real now. We've got to change the name, so now it's called Somebody Feed Phil, and that's the show you see. We did 12 already, and I'm now, right now, I'm waiting for the phone call that we're going to do more.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things that is fascinating is the connection that you have with your fans. And I think you do it not only by just being very personable on the show, but online, your online presence is very personable. It's very, hey, I'm doing this right now, and people kind of interact.
Yes.
Are you thoughtful about it, or
Yes.
do you?
No, I'm very flattered that anyone would reach out to me at all. It's not really my field, the whole everything you do. But I'm starting to get better at it, and I think I told you I just got a website for the show. Everywhere I go in the show, people had been asking me on social media, what was the name of that restaurant? So I made a website where you could find every single place we go in the show with a link to that place, and you can go even reserve, go to their website, see, do everything. And there's deleted scenes, additional content, there's other stuff that we've done. So that's going very well. And then that's the conduit to my Instagram and to my Twitter and my Facebook.
So let me ask you this. I know probably during Everybody Loves Raymond, and especially when you were exporting it to Russia, you probably had an avalanche of notes every week. Your writers would be writing and writing and writing. They came up with these great ideas.
Yes.
Network execs
notes.
Look at it.
Yes.
They'd run the numbers. They'd look at the demographics, and then they would make changes. Now,
actually, they do that before they look at any. They want to justify their jobs, so you get a lot of notes. Everybody's based. They're running on fear. Don't say this. Make that. Make them. Don't let them fight so much. Make the wife. Don't make her nicer. Make him help out more. I got that note about Raymond. A woman said, if Ray doesn't help out more around the house, women won't like him. I said, really? Then why did they marry him? These were the notes. A lot of stuff that I know would kill the show. And then I got the best advice I ever got in my life. Do the show you want to do, because in the end, they're going to cancel you anyway.
that's absolutely true.
That's a life lesson, right? We all get canceled one day. So do the show you want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, one of my favorite Ray lines was, men don't like cuddling unless it leads to lower cuddling.
Yeah, that was, I think Ray Romano thought of that line.
Do you think that some of the shows that were made, some of the iconic shows like Archie Bunker, or like All in the Family,
yes,
even shows like MASH, do you think that they could ever get made today, or do you think?
Well, look, they're trying, right? They've asked me to do a reboot of Raymond. I'm not going to do it. First of all, we don't have some of the cast members, right? They've passed on, so it wouldn't be the same. Well, only in our business. Well, we don't ask athletes at 70 years old, why don't you go run down the field and we'll tackle you again? Just like old times. No, you're trying to not forget the age, but when a show works at all, it's like lightning in a bottle. And to try to recapture it, it's very rare that it works. It's for me. Now, what I would do is I'd have a reunion show where everybody comes out and we tell stories about what it was like to make the shows. We show clips of the shows you like, take questions. That's fine. Happy to do it. But to try to recreate something is... Yeah, I don't like it.
I've seen you... it seems like you have a healthy respect for old Hollywood.
I do.
Some of just the icons. So like I believe I've seen you having lunch with Norman Lear.
A good friend.
Who are some of your biggest mentors or?
Norman Lear created All in the Family, and I think you can divide all of television to BN and AN. Before Norman, after Norman. That's how he's the most influential producer in the history of television. That show, before All in the Family, sitcoms were silly, right?
Sure, yeah.
And then now that suddenly they were relevant. The whole country, if you can imagine, was watching a sitcom every week to find out what the temperature of the country was, right? Now we have it every 5 minutes. But then it was really something. It was social commentary, it was satire, it was important stuff, and it got serious. Real issues, dealt with in this sitcom. What I took from All in the Family was the relationships. I was never going to do a topical show. I didn't think that I had the knowledge or the kind of grasp of current events, or even the interest to do that stuff. But the other part of All in the Family was the family relationships, the husband and wife thing. You know, where Edith starts to tell a long story, and Archie mimes all the different ways he's going to kill himself while she's talking. That's hilarious to me. So this is all and the fights that he would have with his son-in-law. It was all very relatable, and that's what I took. To me, I wanted to do a show that was not timely but timeless. So that was the influence. But I've met now and become friendly with a lot of my heroes and mentors, like Jim Brooks, who created the Mary Tyler Moore Show and Taxi and The Simpsons, and directed Terms of Endearment and broadcast news. These are great, great people that, you know, I bow down to them, and they let me buy them lunch.
I had an interesting conversation with a cable network exec.
Yes.
And he made a prediction, and this was maybe 2 years ago. So and I'm not even sure I agree with it or that it will happen. But he says that cable television is going away, right?
Uh-huh.
It will go away. People will be buying broadband. And what cable does is it allows, you know, my grandmother
Yes.
to be able to turn on the TV
Right.
without any issues. There's a number that she can call. Somebody will come out and help her.
Yes.
But now it's all Roku. It's all, you know, the
Apple TV.
Apple TV,
Yeah.
all of this. That is
Yeah.
going away. And so he says when people stop paying for cable and they're now just paying for an internet pipe, all those dollars that the networks are getting from the cable companies,
Yeah.
right? And he was expressing frustration. It's like, hey, I can't just buy ESPN. I have to buy ESPN and there's 70 other shows or channels that nobody's interested in.
That's right.
And pay for all that.
That's right.
He says, at that point, the dollars that are available to make the content that you see now will evaporate. What do you think?
What do I
about
think?
it? Yeah.
I think that's right. I see that Netflix is taking a large part of this market. I see it because everyone wants to work for them, me included. But then they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Do you know what they're going to spend on content this year?
I don't know.
You want to guess?
$7 billion.
Well, before I guess, I have to tell you,
Yes.
I set a world record today for being off on a number.
Okay, let's see how far off you can be this
So
afternoon.
the number that I was trying to hit was 1 quadrillion, which incidentally is the value of the book of business for the CME Group, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. A quadrillion. I don't even know how to write that.
I don't even know what that is.
I said 4 quadrillion. So the distance between 1 quadrillion, that's 3 quadrillion.
Yes.
I feel like
Now we're talking about one network and their content for 1 year.
3 quadrillion?
I was going to say $7 billion.
13 billion. That's a lot. It's not a quadrillion, but it's a lot. Yes, this year was 8 billion.
Ask how did it? So
And they're going to ask me if I could cut my little budget a little more.
So do you know how many productions they have going at once at any given time?
Hundreds.
Hundreds.
Listen, for a guy like me, it's very hard to stand out because there's a million shows just on Netflix. Then factor in all the other TV stations and networks and cable, and then factor in the internet. How can I compete for attention? There's only one way, and that is to make something of quality, something that people, a niche, want to see. It's not All in the Family anymore, where the entire country on that Sunday night is watching that thing. It's maybe you get a few million people, but here, for me, now, Netflix, the reason why that's the place to be is because when I hand them 6 finished episodes with, by the way, a minimum of interference and notes, I get the notes, but you don't have to do them. There's no pressure to do them. They're a lot of the notes are very good from very smart people. But the ones I don't want to do, I don't do. The reason I love them is because of that, and because when I hand them 6 episodes, they push a button, and it's on all over the world instantaneously. So my social media is filled with people writing from Brazil and the Philippines and China and everywhere.
So the market actually has gotten massive because of that. It's available to anybody with an internet connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So are the people that you work with at Netflix, are they traditional television and movie people, or are they technical people? Like
That's a
people
great question. It's both. It's both. And you don't really get, like, there's no creative answer to me when I ask, how's the show doing? First of all, they don't tell you. That's their seems to be their business model. If they keep all the information, they have all the leverage, you see? But when I ask how we're doing, they say we're analyzing the data, not, the show creatively could go this way or this way. Just they're analyzing the data. They are a data collection agency, it seems. They know exactly what you're watching. They know what you're watching. They know what time you started watching. They know what time you shut it off. They know what word you shut it off on. And they can do a lot of analysis just from that. And they care very much about what's called the completion rate. You start a show. Did you finish the series? Did you finish it in one night? Did you binge? Right? Did it take you a few months? All that is compiled so that when you put on the home screen and it says trending now on Netflix, that's not true. It's geared to you. They know you. They know what you've been watching. And your wife's profile is different than yours. Yeah. Even the little picture of the show is different from your wife than for you. Like my show, your wife may see a nice smiling picture of me, but for you, it's a picture of meat on a grill.
That's fascinating.
Yes.
Actually, I mean, that
because
level of personalization.
They see what you like. And if you like travel more than food, there's a picture of an airplane. It's weird, but that's how dialed in they are and how the computer is kind of running everything.
And a little borders a little bit on creepy, too.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. Listen, it's frustrating for me because the show seems to be working. Everything, all the feedback that I get from reviews out there to the LA Times saying it's a hit, to you saying it's a hit, to you booking me for here, to people stopping me in the street, you can tell that the show has caught on. I can see in social media it's growing, growing, growing. People are writing. But they won't tell me officially.
They won't admit it.
We're very happy. But they say that's right. So you're picking it up, we're analyzing the data.
And what's the lead time from the time you end the season to the time?
A year.
That's when you'll know whether or not you have to get the gang back
I finished
together.
filming a year ago. Then they split our 12 episodes into 2 parts. 6 went on in January, did very well. I said, so you're going to pick up more? No, we're going to wait till July to see how the next 6 do. So I sat around from last fall through July to now, mid-August. I still don't know if we're doing more. So it will be a year since we filmed. Before I get to film again, and then probably another year from now before those shows are on again. But they don't care. You know why? Yeah. They have so many other shows. Their motto should be, we're Netflix, we don't really need you.
Well, and just the number of shows that you film with just pure digital content going out is with a network. It seemed like when I was a kid, a season would be like 25 or 30 shows. It was a lot of shows.
No, now it's 6 or 12. Yeah. They start with 6 if you're new, and I got 12 because I had done 6 for PBS. It was proven, right? But what if they come back now and say, yeah, we'll give you 6 more? It's hardly worth getting out of bed. You wanna have the security and the feeling that it's working and a kind of momentum that and a trust that you build with the audience. Now, don't get me wrong. I love them. I think they're phenomenal. I think it's a phenomenal place to work and the creative freedom that you get, and they really care about it being good. Like on PBS, it was a very low budget, and as soon as I got to Netflix, they're going to shoot the show in 4K, right? And you can have a theme song, which I love. Nominated for an Emmy, by the way, our theme song. Best theme song, yeah. And the photography, the production, everything is the first meeting at Netflix, they say, what do you wish you could do on the show that you couldn't do? I'm like, that's a beautiful way.
That's a great start.
I mean, everybody wants that question, right?
And they didn't follow up with, well, what else do you want?
No. They said, well, we'll do it. They give me a luxury of time in each place. I have 10 days in each. I live better than a rock star. Rock star goes from the plane to the venue to the hotel to the plane to the venue to the hotel. They never see anything. My job is to see everything. Yeah. I have 10 days in each place, including a day off in each place for the crew, which means I get one too. Yeah.
All right, well, I could ask questions all day long, but I know that the audience probably would like to ask a few questions too.
I'll talk to anybody. I don't care.
So let's see here. It's a little tough to see. Who has got a question for Phil? Got one over there.
I see a microphone going up.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, Phil, I love your show.
Thank you.
I have a question for you. Do you think TripAdvisor and Yelp and all of those reviews, are they killing spontaneity, adventure, and travel?
I couldn't understand. Maybe it's
I didn't
where I'm
get it.
sitting.
One more time?
Sure. Do you think TripAdvisor and Yelp and all of those online reviews, do they kill adventure when it comes to travel?
Does TripAdvisor and Yelp kill adventure in travel? That's a great question. I think these are resources, but they shouldn't be your only resource. I use Yelp. We were going to go out for breakfast. I wanted to know what was around us, so I use Yelp. But I don't depend on it because the review that you see there could be from the owner of the place, right? So what I do is I cross-reference. So I'll go to Google, and then I'll Google the place that I found on Yelp, and then everything else comes up. So you go to use the different search engines, and that's how you find stuff. And by the way, that's how I plan where we're going in the show. That's one way. I also have fixers in each city on Earth because the production company I use did Mr. Bourdain's program too. So I'm benefiting from 18 years of experience that they had. Some of the places, you know, they tell me Bourdain or Andrew Zimmern went there, or maybe you don't want to repeat that, or you should go back there because it's different, or you're going to have a much different take than what they did. But to answer your question, you use everything as resource and cross-reference. I'm sure there's some equivalent in your business of doing this, right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Mostly when we're trying to do projects with people, right? Right. Who in the business is known and trusted?
Yes.
And those are the people that you include on your team.
Always. And then when we go to each place, we leave room for serendipity, meaning I might meet someone on the street, a local chef even, who says, that's not the best hamburger. The best hamburger's over there. And it just opened, and I know the guy, you should come. And you go, and there it is. And then we film it. Put it in the thing. We always leave room in the schedule for that, as you should on your vacation. You want to book certain places, but also leave room for discovery when you're there.
Have you ever gotten a recommendation from your parents on places to go?
If I listened to my parents, I wouldn't go anywhere. Why are you going out? We have so much food in the house. Why would you go out?
I think it was your dad on one of the episodes that said the Chinese dynasty came 2,000 years after the Jews. What did Jews eat for 2,000 years?
Yes. That's right.
All right, let's take another question.
That sounds like him. He's a repository for all the jokes, all the old jokes in the world. That's my dad.
Okay, so how does a company like Netflix handle residuals for your shows? I mean,
Very good question. There are none. That's you're hitting on something of how the business has changed. When we did Raymond for CBS, I feel like we got in and out of the business at the sweet spot of history, where residuals and syndication were still happening. And now they're not. Netflix buys you out at the beginning. You get your money up front, they then own the show, and you are theirs. That's it. You have to decide, do you want that trade-off? I took it.
Any other questions?
Where are you having lunch today? That's my question.
Lionfish downstairs.
Is it good?
You're welcome.
Great
to join
sushi.
us.
Oh, you're very nice. No, I gotta get home. I have a 3.5-hour ride.
All right, everybody. Well, I think that is it.
But I'm happy to, if you want to say hi, I'm happy to say hi to you after.
Yeah.
But, very nice.
We'll bring up the lights. Everybody can say hi to Phil.
Okay.
And thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure.
It's
My pleasure.
been
Thank
my
you.
pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.